Welcome to episode number 271 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. You can find us, just search for us, Beyond Social Media Show. You'll find our website there, links to all our channels there. We are recording live on YouTube on June 7, 2019. Plenty of things to talk about this week, as usual, including Landshark, Prime Air, Vox Union, Spotbots, Obamacast, more podcast transcripts, Delete Me, Instafluencer ads, Google search diversity, Amazon knockoffs, fear-based social, YouTube hate speech, and much, much more. Kick it off with best story of the week. BL has those honors. What was it, BL?
Well, I live in Manhattan, and I take the subway pretty much every day. And there's no telling what's going to happen when you get on the subway. But the other day, there was a shark. A dead baby shark was found on the subway on Tuesday night. And the reason I think it's such a great story is that the MTA person who handles Twitter and Instagram had a sense of humor about it. So all these memes followed. So the person who found it tweeted and put a picture of it on Instagram and tweeted like, I found this baby shark in the subway. And so the MTA social media person replied, "Oh my, can you let us know exactly where this is so we can send someone to remove it?" And until then, and then they had a gif of Baby Shark, the kid's song. And so the person said it's 2nd Avenue and 14th Street. And the MTA person said, "Wow, pretty far from the aquarium." Well, the station's teams know now. So sometime it was spotted by a guy named Max Roeder around midnight, and the Twitter and Instagram accounts put Roeder's picture online, and then whoever's behind it, made fun of the whole thing. And it's not the first time apparently that there was a shark found on the subway. There was one found not long ago, and y'all heard about Subway Rat who was eating pizza on the stairs. So, you kind of never dull moment on the New York City subway. Come visit.
I have a lot of questions.
It's such a...
So what kind of a shark was it?
It's a baby, little shark.
No, there's different sharks. There's hammerhead sharks. There's great white sharks. There's tiger sharks. There's a whole bunch of different types of sharks. What kind of
this was called a baby shark.
Okay. So how big is a baby shark?
Well, it didn't look that big in the picture. Like, the theory is that maybe somebody bought it and they were going to eat it and it fell out of their bag. Who knows? It was,
where do you buy sharks to eat in
maybe
Manhattan?
Chinatown. Maybe Chinatown. I don't know. They have live fish.
How big was it? Show me on the screen. How big was that?
About this big.
So that's hard to miss on a subway.
Yeah.
And it was dead, right?
It was
so
dead.
It wasn't flopping around.
That's why I think somebody was going to eat it.
Wow. All right. I don't even know. Yeah. So maybe in the not too distant. Ouch! Maybe I just brushed my broken foot against another foot and hurt myself. Yeah.
We're a mess.
Yeah, we are. Maybe in the not too distant future, we can have, rather than carrying dead sharks on the subway, just have them delivered via drones. Why not? Because apparently that's going to become a thing. This is from Adweek's Lisa Lacey, who reports that Amazon has revealed that the latest Prime Air drone design is on its way. So Amazon says it can fly up to 15 miles, but the packages it ferries must weigh less than 5 pounds. So the question is, BL, this shark, baby shark, did it look like it was 5 pounds or less?
Well, it was kind of smallish. Yeah, probably.
All right, so...
But it had a long tail thing.
Yeah. Well,
that didn't look like what I would think a shark would look like, but...
All right, well... Possibly then we could have shark deliveries.
But how can we have drone deliveries in high-rise buildings?
Well, we'll get to that. That you won't, yeah. Probably not. Okay, so cancel that idea. But out in Chaska in Minnesota, we could probably have shark deliveries. deliveries. All right. So, Jeff Wilke is the CEO of Amazon Worldwide Consumer. And he said the platform's fulfillment and delivery network should allow it to scale drone delivery within months. He says that there may be times when even one-day delivery, which Amazon is perfecting now, is not the right choice for consumers. So now they're going to have the goal of making Amazon even quicker deliveries with drone delivery, and their goal of making 50% of their shipments net zero carbon by 2030. The article quotes Wilke saying, when it comes to emissions and energy efficiency, an electric drone charged using sustainable means, traveling to drop off a package is a vast improvement over a car on the road. Today, most of us run to the store because we need an item now, like a shark. With a service like Amazon Prime Air, we'll be able to order from home and stay home. This saves tremendously on fuel usage and reduces emissions. So yeah, that's a good argument for drone delivery. Can't wait. Just drop it off on the porch out there, and I'll pick it up when it's ready.
I got a book that came in one day. I was like, how did they even do that? But they did. So this next story is dear to my heart because my maternal grandmother was a union organizer of the Ladies Garment Workers Union in New York. And what happened in online media the last couple of days is just like the good old days of union. Vox Media Union announced tonight, just a couple hours ago, that they've reached a tentative deal with management after more than 28 straight hours of negotiations that had gone on for a year prior to this. And it's the first time ever that there's a collective bargaining agreement with the Writers Guild of America. So more than 300 Vox Media employees staged a walkout on Thursday because they had failed to come to an agreement, and the walkouts affected Vox, The Verge, Recode, Curbed, and several others that are part of Vox Media. And our unit members are taking their sites dark today to show management how important these issues are to us, was the tweet from the Vox Media Union. And a lot of these sites were dark yesterday. Also today, Fast Companies Union got a deal, and their deal, I don't know what's going to happen with the Vox Media deal, but the Fast Company deal includes regular salary increases, a minimum salary of $50,000, a severage package, really important these days when people are getting canned left and right, 401k matching, up to 4 weeks of paid vacation, and 45 sick days that can roll over, plus lots more. So this was a banner day for journalism, but I don't know what they've done about actual job protection. But if you are there, you now have job protection that you didn't have before. And also, the other thing was, every time you get a new title, you get a raise. They don't just give you a title and no more money, as happens so often outside of journalism.
I came across this, unrelated, but I came across an article a while ago where managers were giving new titles to millennials who expect a raise every year, or a promotion every year. So they're creating titles to give them a promotion without the pay raise, but because the expectation that millennials have that they will be promoted every year, which is kind of, I'm sorry, but it's a stupid. You get promoted when you earn a promotion. You don't, after a year, get promoted just because you get promoted. So anyway, that's a side thing, though. But I am glad that they resolved their issues, because the last time the writers went on strike, they canceled my favorite show on HBO because they went on strike. Deadwood ended because of the writers' strike. Thankfully, the HBO just released a new Deadwood movie, which is fantastic. Fully supportive of unions, but I kind of am pissed off that they canceled.
I can imagine, but Huffington Post also has a union, so a lot of the online publications are unionized, and print media is already all unionized.
Yeah, well, there's no transition to my next story, except that this is kind of another, well, drones are robots in a way. This is a robot story. This is from The Verge's St. James Vincent, who reports on Boston Dynamics. They are readying their quadrupedal robot named Spot, of course. They're readying it for sale as a commercial product. So we've talked about Spot before. We've talked about Boston Dynamics many times before because we love robots here at the Beyond Social Media Show. So anyway, they are readying it for commercial sale. Currently, it's being tested as a proof of concept in a number of environments, according to the CEO Mark Rybert. And some of the environments are package delivery, surveying work, so construction areas that are hazardous and doing surveying works there. There's no firm launch date yet, but they said it should be available within months, if not before the end of the year. The Boston Dynamic robots generally require human handlers. They're capable of navigating the environments as shown in their numerous videos. They can navigate environments autonomously, but only when the environments have been mapped beforehand, right? So they're following a mapped environment with their internal systems. They can withstand kicks and shoves, as we've seen, which is kind of, don't piss off the Terminator kind of thing. But they can withstand those. They can keep their balance if you kick them. They can keep their balance in tricky terrains, but they don't decide for themselves where to walk. So they need either somebody controlling them or, as we said, a terrain that's already been mapped out for them. But they are simple to control according to this article. You can use a D-pad, like a video game controller, and control it just like a toy car or a mechanical toy. You can tap the video feed to stream the live stream from the front-facing cameras, and then if you can select a destination for it to walk to just by tapping on the screen as well. Another tap can assume control of the robotic arm. So they're positioning this, Boston Dynamics is, as a mobility platform that can be customized by users to complete a whole range of tasks. So a robot mounted with 3D cameras can map environments and construction sites and hazardous environments where you wouldn't want to put a human. And when it's equipped with a robotic arm, it has greater flexibility, can open doors, manipulate objects, and so forth. We will include one of the best videos ever of Boston Dynamics robots of a twerking, moonwalking Spot in the show notes for you to watch.
Wait, does this look like a dog?
Yeah.
And do we know what it costs?
We don't. The price is indeterminate. They said it's going to be competitive with other similar robots, but didn't have a price on it. No. So,
I bet if you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Right, yeah.
So another happy story. I love that one. The Obamas have made a podcast deal with Spotify, and they're two of the most important voices in the world, and they're going to be podcasting. And they announced a multi-year deal with Spotify and their company called Higher Ground Productions, which has an audio component. And they're going to develop, produce, and lend their voices to select podcasts on a wide range of topics. The agreement is the first for them, but they have a multi-year agreement, the first in podcasting, but they have a multi-year agreement with Netflix to produce original scripted and unscripted and documentary series and films. And they have 7 projects in development right now. So Spotify recently surpassed 100 million premium subscribers and 217 million active monthly users, and they're going to distribute the podcast globally. And I personally can't wait to hear from the real president.
It's fascinating that they have that they're doing that they've got a production studio. Hillary and Chelsea Clinton are in creating a movie or films production company. So they're partnering on that. It's interesting that both, the Obamas and the Clintons are going into kind of entertainment. In a way, you can affect culture. You can implement your politics more effectively through culture than through politics in many ways. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of products they both come out with.
The Clinton Foundation is having a podcast coming out this summer as well. So yeah, I agree with you completely. If you do it in an entertaining way, it's so different than what's going on right now in politics.
Think about how quickly society's opinions changed about gay rights, and the reason for that is because gay people were portrayed in popular entertainment, and people were not freaked out by them anymore, right? They started seeing them all the time on their screens, and they weren't an alien concept to people who weren't gay. So I think that's an instance of where entertainment really affected culture and changed politics as a result.
Well, there's a long way to go in that arena, but it's definitely an improvement. Yeah.
So speaking of podcasts, Apple has announced through this is from a Publisher Insider article by Rob Williams. They are planning to roll out a transcription service for podcasts. That will
We've heard that before.
No, I don't think this is the first time they've announced it. Have they announced that they're going to do this before?
No, Google said they're doing it. I haven't seen that.
Google is doing it. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah. But shit, yeah, no, that's their stuff is showing up in search results now. But Apple is announcing that they're going to do it because Google obviously is doing it, so they're going to have to do it. And it makes sense because it makes that audio content more searchable. And so the text transcriptions will obviously help people find more podcasts. Apple rolled out their Apple web-enabled podcast pages recently. There's still, as far as I can tell, no homepage for that. So they are transitioning out of iTunes, moving towards this web-based thing. So I imagine they're going to add search somewhere along the way so we can actually search for podcasts through their web-based platform. But we'll see how it rolls out. Interesting times, though.
Well, I was mortified the other day when I went to play music in iTunes and none of my music would play. And I thought, oh my God, have they taken it away? I mean, this is all my music that I uploaded, made my library. And the next day, I turned off my computer at night. The next day I came back and it worked. But, I hope this is a smooth transition.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they're getting rid of iTunes. I always
it's so clunky iTunes and awful.
And I accumulated tons of MP3s over the day. I uploaded all mine to Google Play, and they're still there. I mean, my library is there, and I don't have to pay for it.
I'm going to have to move it, yeah.
So anyway.
So I got another one, and this is about your Amazon home thing, Echo. You will now be able to buy a $99 Amazon Echo that is going to let you erase your voice requests for the day or for the longer term. This is from a Wired story by Lauren Goody. And after there have been so many privacy complaints, and if you believe them, Amazon says the new Echo Show has privacy features earlier models didn't have. And the burden's still on you because you have to say, erase it. It doesn't happen automatically. And it has a mechanical slide. I think this is interesting that lets you close the shutter on the front-facing camera that previous Echo shows didn't have. And there's going to be new privacy features for the web and for ALEXA. It's a part of a larger effort to address customer concerns. It's a pretty damn big effort, concern on the part of consumers, to say the least. But maybe now I'll buy one.
Well, there's no reason I can think of really that you shouldn't be able to do that on older versions of the Echo either. It just seems like that's a firmware update you can apply to all of the Echo devices, and
They actually said you can't.
Really?
The announcement said it's only on the newer ones, so I don't know what that's about, but maybe they'll, have a fix for that at some point.
Yeah, I don't know technically why that wouldn't be possible, but there you go.
Because it's
And
Amazon.
there's really no reason for them to store that data on their servers anyway. It's going to be stored on their servers initially because it's going to have to in order for the device to work, right? But once they get the data to understand and make the product better by the accumulation of all that data, then there's no reason for them to keep it on the servers indefinitely anyway. So
there've been a lot of issues. I mean, there've been the issues of people, finding out that their arguments were being listened to, and then the really creepy thing that happened was when it started laughing in the middle of the night. Something was going on with that. That didn't happen to you, did it?
It did not happen to me. My Echo does respond as if I'd responded when I haven't responded. So
yeah,
when I haven't done the awake thing, and it'll all of a sudden say something like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Yeah, Siri will say that. She'll say, "I didn't get that, BL." Well, that's because I didn't say anything.
I think it's just sleep talking.
I don't know what it is, but I'm on to bad news. Do you have any more good news?
I got another good one. This is from Marketing Land's Amy Gessenhues, and Instagram is rolling out branded content ads to their advertisers. So it's making it possible for brands to create ads using organic posts from influencers with whom they have a relationship. It is available to all advertisers over the coming weeks. Branded content ad for stories will roll out over the coming months. So the content creator has to grant access to their account to their business partners, to the brands. And then once they do that, those posts that the creator creates will be available to the brands in their admin section. And then the brands can run ads based on those posts the influencers create. It's an interesting concept. I'm wondering why the brands are paying for the promotion if they're already paying for the influencer relationship, right? So there's that, and then but it does seem to me to have some way of verifying who's an influencer for a brand. And kind of standardizing those relationships. So I can see some upside to it, but the whole influencer sector is it's the Wild West right now, and it's kind of buyer beware as well. So
I went to an event last night. David Berkowitz, who runs the serial marketer Slack that I invited you to, had an event so that some of us could meet in real life, and he had a panel of people talking about influencers and just this topic, like the metrics and the amounts and how brand. But the interesting thing that's happening in what you're saying is you're kind of cutting out the agency, and and there are agencies that have sprung up just to represent influencers. And the other thing that's happening is that social platforms are starting to talk about taking away the numbers, the follower numbers, and so on. And that is going to wreak havoc in the influencer community because you won't know who has a lot of followers, I don't know how that's going to impact everything. And it kind of pisses me off that they're going to do that. I want to know if somebody has a following. I want to know what, I want to know those things.
Right. And so, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that is Instagram specifically that is talking about taking away the likes.
And Twitter.
But yeah, I mean, it is followers is kind of a meaningless metric when you're talking about influence. Engagement is much better. Topicality is even,
But nothing's measuring engagements. That's what we were all talking about last night. what are the engagement metrics that you're getting off the social media? I mean, Twitter tells you impressions. That doesn't mean a damn thing.
Right. Well, I mean, ultimately, the way that if I'm a brand, the way I'm going to measure engagement is driving
Conversion.
people to my platforms and having those people who are driven to my platforms take an action that I can measure, that I want, that's important to me. Right.
Well, the
That's
argument on the other side is that this is really, that influencers are really PR and that they're not measured in the same way as direct marketing or advertising. So it's a slippery slope, if you ask me. And I'm so over influencers.
Well, I
really
know.
am.
I know. I mean, so we PR people have been doing influencer marketing for years and years. I mean, it's
Used
what
to
we've
be
been
called
doing.
blogger relations, like
Yeah. And
when
so
they sent us stuff and asked us not to say that they sent it to us. I always told.
Yeah. So anyway, my last good one is this is from Search Engine Land's Barry Schwartz, who reports that Google has released an update to diversify their search results. So in some search results, there will be one domain that dominates the search results. So like 5 links, 6 links, 7 links from the same domain. What this update does is kind of a deal with that, so that that there's only like 2 results from the same domain showing up in top search results for a given query. It's not going to happen 100% across the board, but what they're trying to do is show a diversity of content from different sources in your search results, so that you're not seeing one domain that dominates the search results. They are treating subdomains as part of the main domain. So I have a trends.e-strategy and a e-strategy blog domain. Those 2 different domains would be considered the same domain in this case. It only affects the core results, so it's not affecting the top stories, the carousel, the videos.
There's another update.
Just the basic links. Yeah.
Is this a different update than the June 3rd one?
It is. The June 3rd one is just a core update, and that's not, I mean, that's just one of their typical updates that they do. So if you've seen any difference in your search results related to that update, it's not that you've done anything wrong or anything necessarily. It's that somebody else has probably displaced you in the search results and just continued to create great content.
Well, the only thing that was unusual about that is that usually they just do that. They don't announce it. They do it several times a year. But this time they announced it, and they said that it would have the biggest impact, which from one of the newsletters that I write, the people are already saying that it is biggest impact on the healthcare industry and on financials. And there doesn't seem to be anything that anybody has thought of so far that you could do to get your ranks back. But some people are talking about like they lost 27% of their ranking, and they have to figure out how they're going to get back up. So you got to be paying attention all the time.
Yeah, that does happen. The announcement, pre-announcement, is likely due to the fact that Danny Sullivan is now the Google search liaison. So he's probably pushing for, we need better relations with the SEO community. So that's my take on that.
Yeah. So is that bring us to bad news?
It does. Let's get on to bad news.
All right. Well, this is really a sad story. This is a story from Wired by Louise Matsakis, and this is about the counterfeits that are rampant on Amazon, and in particular, there was an unexpected surprise for Donald Trump when he visited Louisiana earlier this month. He was greeted with a hairy surprise because Billy Nungesser, the state's lieutenant governor, lifted his pants hem to show him his Donald Trump socks. And these socks came from a company called Gumball Poodle, and they have like hair and they come with a comb. And the socks went viral when that happened. They've been around for a while, but they went viral. And that's when the trouble started for Gumball Poodle. They had come up with these socks in 2016, and the socks have been on The View and Rachel Maddow and Stephen Colbert. But it was Nungesser's pants that made them go viral. And within a week, knockoffs appeared that were made in China and substantially below the $30 price for the originals. And her socks, the gumball person's socks, were made in the US and come with this tiny comb. The other ones, she'd done everything right. She trademarked her logo. She patented the sock design. She joined Amazon's product registry, which is supposed to protect intellectual property. So what happened is that Amazon chose one of the fakes to feature. That effectively shut down her sales. They ignored her complaints. They only took down the fakes when Wired got involved. And counterfeiting is a $1 trillion industry that costs businesses billions of dollars every year. Thousands of trademark owners have the same problem. I have a friend who had somebody do this to her on Amazon, and they actually stole her products from an Amazon warehouse and sold them for less than she was selling them for. Though half of all U.S. commerce sales go to Amazon, and the site is also where half of all product searches on the web begin. So this is not a small problem. And, you risk letting your business go. And 3 years ago, Apple sued Amazon, an Amazon wholesaler, over fake iPhone charging cables and other phony items. And Apple told the Los Angeles Times that the dispute was resolved. Judges have often ruled, this is the worst part, that Amazon's not liable because they're not the seller. They're the conduit. So in March, Amazon unveiled a new program called Project Zero that allows sellers to remove counterfeit listings without needing to go through the typical bureaucracy, but it's not widely available. So this whole cottage industry of consultants has arisen to help guide sellers through the Amazon bureaucracy. And Amazon also runs a forum for sellers to trade advice and information. The forms that you have to fill out change, and this woman named Rachel Jones, who started a brand protection monitoring service called Snapdragon, she started that after her own invention was copied by counterfeiters. And the gumball poodle lady says that a wholesale deal with a major brick and mortar store fell through in the last few days when the company noticed her product on Amazon selling for significantly less than her price. So in the coming weeks, she may also need to contend with customers who are starting to receive the counterfeits that they unwittingly ordered. And if they leave bad reviews, that'll be the end of her company. It's a bad situation.
Yeah, it is. That sucks.
When you don't have a product, you don't feel bad.
No.
No, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon is just so freaking huge that you need, sub categories to just deal with being on Amazon. That's kind of crazy too.
This is a fascinating article. It's kind of a too long must-read article at Vox by Ronnie Mola, who writes about fear-based social media. So violent crime in the U.S. is at its lowest in decades, but there are these social media sites that are among the most popular social media apps that are being downloaded or forming around crime. So there's Nextdoor, which many people know about, Citizen, and now Amazon has one called, based on Amazon's Ring, called Neighbors. And they all allow users to view local crime kind of in real time and then discuss it with people nearby, with their neighbors. Some of the most downloaded social and news apps in the app and Play stores. Citizen, one of these networks called Citizen, was previously called Vigilante.
I remember that one. Yeah.
So you get an idea. So it appeared to encourage users to stop crimes in action. It sent 911 alerts for crimes that are happening nearby. It allowed users to live stream footage they recorded of crime scenes, and to quote, chat with other citizen users as situations develop. And again, quote, build out your inner circle of family and friends to create your own personal safety network and receive alerts whenever they're close to danger, end quote. So the apps have become popular because, and they've aggravated people's false sense of danger being on the rise. And there's both Gallup and Pew Research data that show that Americans seem to think that crime is getting worse, while crime has actually fallen steeply in the last 25 years, according to FBI and Bureau of Statistics. And then that perception is aggravated by the "if it bleeds, it leads" crime reporting on your local news. So I occasionally use Nextdoor.
I do too.
I get alerts from it, and I'm in Chaska, Minnesota, which for viewers who aren't from Minnesota, it's about a 45 to an hour minute drive southwest of Minneapolis to Minneapolis. So it's out in the exurbs. There's farm fields around me, right? It's entirely white. There's very little minority population here, and the chatter among the people that I see on Nextdoor are concerns about Black and brown people, mostly. And so that's the kind of that they're like reporting it to police if somebody's in the neighborhood knocking on doors, soliciting or whatever. And it's pretty despicable, actually. But it is encouraging that perception that there's more crime than there actually is. So what's your experience of Nextdoor, Bill?
My experience is that there are a lot of really whiny people who are ill-informed, so they'll talk about a crime, and it turns out this happened 3 years ago. And you're all like, got your panties in a twist because, these Black kids did whatever they did. And actually they didn't do it. And it was 3 years ago. But there are instances, like there was a listing of Mac repair people who come to your house who were recommended. So I kept that. From time to time, people ask because they're a good dentist, that sort of thing. But there's crazy people on there, so I have to block people. It's not that different from social media, and some of the stuff is just crazy. Like somebody said to someone last week, "You really need a shrink." Not next door. Their microwave was, the neighbors were talking through their microwave or some crazy thing. But that's where they go to talk about it.
Yeah, so, there are benefits. There's good things about it too as well. But yeah, my major impression from what I've viewed so far is like it's a bunch of skittish white people.
I definitely have that impression.
Yeah.
I definitely have that impression. And then there's also some people who want to bring politics into it, and that's not, So I'm very rarely actually posting there, although I read the things that like a home repair person for Mac or something like that. But for the most part, it's kind of a waste of time. But so the other thing that I wasn't sure if I would put this in good news or bad news, but YouTube has announced a new hate speech policy. And I got this from a Wired story by Paris Martineau and several other sources as well. But on Wednesday, they said that their new policy targets the neo-Nazis and conspiracy theorists and white supremacists and other bigots that have always been on the platform spreading their ideologies. And this comes after obviously years of criticism that they've allowed the site to become a haven for hate mongers. And so their new community guidelines ban videos that promote the superiority of one group over another based on age, gender, race, caste, sexual orientation, or veteran status. They said the ban would apply to all videos that espouse or glorify Nazi ideology and what the company called inherently discriminatory. The reason that I didn't have it in good news is that they didn't say how they're going to enforce it. And, I do believe that they have the technology to do that if they wanted to, but that's directly opposed to their business model. But if they enforce it, it will work. It's just a big if.
So we shall see.
We shall see, but we've kind of heard this before.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to believe somebody's going to implement it, I'm going to believe Google over Facebook, because there's track record, and Facebook just doesn't.
Facebook's done.
Well, no, it's not. But anyway, we had that discussion before.
Every week we have that discussion.
Right,
So, are you ready for shiny objects?
Yes. So
Okay.
I have a shiny object, a new thing that I just found today, and it is, my always on about audio marketing, Dave. Yep. So audio marketing, audio is the next content marketing frontier, and so this has to do with that. This is a podcast called Voice Tech Podcast. It's by the host is Carl Robinson, who is a machine learning technologist who is working on voice tech, and he's like got 28 podcast episodes so far of his podcast. He interviews voice tech practitioners, so it is techie stuff. But if you want to learn about the how and the why of audio technology, and my personal philosophy is, in order to be really good at marketing, you need to understand the plumbing as well.
Absolutely.
And so this is a good podcast to listen to get at that in terms of voice technology. So I do recommend it. We'll put a link to it in the show notes, and projects.
I don't have any shiny things.
All right. Well, I've got Prince's birthday would have been today. He would have been 61. It is today. He would have been 61 years old, and from Minnesota. I can't let that pass without mentioning it. And I have I'm going to share my link to 4 keys to why Prince was a creative genius. My blog post that I wrote in the wake of his death, and we'll share that in the show notes. And then I think we're on to daily numbers.
Well,
right?
but speaking of people who died, Dr. John died,
right.
And that's just so sad. I mean,
Yep.
I've been following him since the first album, and saw him many times live in New York. And
Awesome.
oh my God, he's so amazing. Went to see him in Hoboken at a festival there, not that long ago. And I have like days worth of his music that I can listen to. So yeah.
Yeah, that's sad too. Definitely. Yep. All right. Well, let's wrap this up then. Daily numbers. This is the types of. It was speaking of influencers, types of influencers that PR pros use. So social media influencers, obviously, is the top, cited by 76, nearly 77% of PR pros. Internal employees and spokespeople, cited by 67%, and that makes a lot of sense. But it's often harder than you think to get internal employees and spokespeople to be active in terms of brand ambassadorship and stuff. But journalists, that should be actually higher on the list, I think. 64% said journalists. Bloggers, 59%. Customers, 53%. External experts, 52%. And celebrities ranking out at the bottom at 30%, and that makes a lot of sense too, because I really don't think, I mean, depending upon the category, celebrities aren't really that influential.
Not anymore. They sure used to be. Back in the old days.
Back in the 3 television channel days.
Yeah, really. Arthur Godfrey on the radio. But I mean, I just think this whole thing is such an influx kind of thing right now that all of this is going to change because of the metrics problem. But anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 271 of the Beyond Social Media Show, which began 6 years ago. And isn't that amazing, Dave? And if you want to find us, you find us by searching Beyond Social Media Show, and you'll find links to everything we talked about today. And that will be at beyondSocialMediaShow.com/271. And David Erickson, my extremely charming co-host, is on Twitter as D. Erickson. He's on Instagram as D.E. Erickson, or as I like to think of it, Dear Erickson. He's on YouTube as eStrategy. He blogs at eStrategyblog.com. I am BL Ochman. I'm on Twitter as What's Next. I blog at What's Next blog. I'm on YouTube, and my business site is blochman.com. The show, BeyondSocialMediaShow.com, is our website, and on Twitter, we're BS Media Show. And we will be back next week, same time, same bat channel. And we thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.